they really don't want to accept the fact that they are terrible at comedy. Like, right-wingers really need to accept the fact that they are terrible at comedy. Like, they don't have any good comedians.
Right-wing grifters and influencers do not understand comics even when the answer is blatantly in front of them.
Why do your ideologies and politics not align with the traditional American values that are depicted in these comics?
A real critic will ask you, how believable are the characters? A real critic will ask you, how are the costume designs?
Mm-hmm.
Is it well directed? All right, pull up a chair, everyone. Welcome. This is the Porch Light Theory, where we have unfiltered conversations, but sometimes it is necessary. I'm Tristan Hardy, and joining me right now is my brother, my co-host, Nick. I do want to share real quick some small victories before we move forward with this episode.
Do share.
That's cool
Do
with
share.
you. Yeah, so we do have a TikTok page, and it has naturally garnered 27 followers as of Friday. Now, that sounds small, of course, but these are people who we do not know. They just naturally saw our content on TikTok and they followed us. And some of the videos that we've posted on our TikTok page has garnered at least 100 likes. And so I think that is a small win for us.
And we won't even call it small. It's a win. A win is a win, brother. Like,
a win's a win. You know,
in a world where we don't know if our next day is even promised, you know, we'll just take whatever win we can get.
Let's drop one of Clues bombs one time for the one time.
We have too much time on our hands.
I'm so glad I got this sound pad. This is going to be an excellent addition.
It's going to be
I'm about to be a menace, right?
Hey, don't.
I'm about to be
just
a
wait
menace.
for football season to start. Oh, you football fans are not ready for us.
It's over now that I got a sound pad.
Oh!
I dropped my AirPod. I need you to get more stuff to do with your time, sir, but I love it.
I spent time looking for
I
these
know
sound
you
effects.
did. I don't think people understand. Just a little bit of a clue into our history. Tristan was the king of finding random sounds to annoy people when we were in college, especially freshman year. I remember...
Man.
Remember, you would go play those 10-minute repeats of a single sound bite and leave it on for 10 hours?
The who you calling Pinhead?
Who you calling for Pinhead?
Who you calling Pinhead? Good times. Good times.
You just wasn't ready.
Before we let's go ahead and before we go into, before we get into this episode again, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe, because it's people like you that help find this podcast. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So I plan on going to the movies to watch Superman, the new one by James Gunn. Have you seen that movie yet, bro?
James Gunn did an amazing job depicting Superman for the icon that he is in America, but also how it would be in reality with him dealing with a lot of the issues. I think there's a particular scene in the movie when he and Lois where he's giving Lois an interview as Superman, but they're in kind of their informal space at home. And I think that was a true depiction of how Superman views everything and how the world would view it at that point, and how our worldview can create these constraints around us actually being able to do good and what's morally right, as opposed to what fits within the scheme of the law. And I think as much as people want to make it about something else, that was a great movie just because it was fun. It was campy, great points. I think Mr. Terrific is going to be an amazing addition to the DCEU. About time they started utilizing him a lot better. I like Guy Gardner in there as well as the Green Lantern as well. hot girl. She's growing on me. So we'll see, especially once they flesh out their story more as the Danagarians, and once if hopefully Hawkman comes in, especially with some of these storylines that they're developing. I think that this is a good kickoff, and I think that James Gunn was the right person for this job.
Overall, you would recommend people to watch
Oh,
this
I
movie.
would for sure. Especially if you're a comic book fan, you will love this Superman. This iteration of Superman is not that Man of Steel Superman was bad. I just don't believe that if you were to bring all of the Superman depictions in comic books and you were to like aggregate them based upon their type of personalities, you're going to find more Superman comics with this depiction, this version that James Gunn is depicting than you would with a Zack Snyder.
I plan on watching the movie. I'm excited to watch it. It looks fun. Even features Crypto, the super dog. But one thing that people are not really looking forward to are these right-wing influencers and grifters, because not so long ago Fox News was trying to dunk on Superman. Take a look at this.
It's a terrible analogy. I mean, with Superman, they are sending your best.
I think that I'm at no risk of hurting my 22-year streak of not going to the movie theater.
We don't go to the movie theater to be lectured to and to have somebody throw their ideology onto us. I wonder if it'll be successful.
All right. I wonder if it'll be successful. And then this is also Fox News Jimmy Fallon. I guess this is a Fox version of Jimmy Fallon, because this dude was corny as hell. This is what he had to say about woke Superman.
My question to you is, can Superman be saved, or is this sequel going to go the way of other woke reboots like Snow White and the 7 Inches?
That was only available on Pornhub. Limited release. Better than advertised. They better hope that they have just hell on fire word of mouth, because that's the only thing that's going to get people into theaters in a large part of the country. I don't understand why he chose to use a word that is, very politically charged and incredibly divisive. Because when you put out a movie like Superman, you are inviting people to escape for a couple of hours. It's like, life is expensive. Life is hard. Our politics have divided us and our families. So I want to sit in a theater and I want to feel like I am Superman. I want to feel like I can save the world. But if I'm going there being lectured to about immigration, and he's like, well, this is an immigration movie, and if you're not careful, ICE will round you up too. So don't go see it. I mean, that's essentially what he's saying. But why wasn't he like, this is an abortion movie? Kal-El came from Krypton to perform abortions.
Well, you're in luck, because they're definitely going to abort the sequel after this.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
Those jokes were ass.
And it's been a part of their MO. They really don't want to accept the fact that they are terrible at comedy. Like, right-wingers really need to accept the fact that they are terrible at comedy. Like, they don't have any good comedians. So many parts of being an actual good comedian does take a little bit of self-awareness and not playing into the amount of I'll just say it, the amount of idiocy that you have to believe to be a strong right-leaning conservative defeats any logical method that you could utilize to be a good comedian. So I feel like being a good comedian, being a right-winger doesn't go hand in hand, because the fallacies that the hoops you have to jump through to make circles connect for those jokes to land, it just doesn't exist. Because that's why they hate people like Bill Burr. It's like, nah, just look at what you're talking about and what you're doing, and it's all stupid.
This is the comedy that they're talking about. Far right-wing influencers and grifters. This is what they're talking about when they say, "Oh, bring back comedy. We want to be allowed to crack a joke." Here's the problem: the jokes are bad, trash, full on ass. These are not good jokes.
That
at
is
all.
the big thing.
An abortion joke? What's funny is that it's not funny. An abortion joke? An immigration joke? Like, and where in your right mind do you think this is actually funny? Who are you? At what point you have to ask yourself, when I crack these jokes, who am I appealing to when I crack these jokes? Chances are white, uneducated, someone who probably watches a lot of Fox News. Trolls, 4chan, website goers, the dark side of Reddit, probably.
And then just today, wasn't Trump celebrating that Colbert is off the air now, and he was comparing Colbert and all the others to like, oh well, they're nothing like Greg Gutfield in his show. And it's like, yeah, because Fox created the Gutfield whole identity as to be an antithesis to the other late night comics that do nothing but, talk about how dumb a lot of these right wing talking points and conservatives are. Because I know you probably noticed it. There has been a recent like right wing movement in the media to where even CNN and MSNBC to a certain extent aren't as left leaning as they used to be. And I think that came from, the
Yeah.
political movement that's of course apparent in our country right now. But I think because of how starkly this new administration has been messing up, that we're going to start seeing a movement back to the center for a lot of these news stations. There's of course going to be Fox News, OAN, and what's that other one that no one likes? But yeah, that one, Newsmax or whatever they're called. They'll still be there because they're going to take advantage of that part of the base that is uneducated. But yeah, I don't see this as being a lasting point, and that just is coming off of the backs of hearing a Ben Shapiro do this every time a new movie comes out. He talks about how Superman isn't truly supposed to be a political movie. It is intended to be a political movie. The man is an illegal alien that came to this country that is trying to uphold the country's values in spite of sometimes their own laws, because he views doing the right thing as the most important thing. He says the same thing about Barbie and how somehow he made Barbie political. Somehow
He made Barbie
Yes.
political? What's political about Barbie?
That's a great question.
It's
That is a
Barbie.
great question.
It's supposed to be, isn't Barbie supposed to be like a girl living her best life?
Oh,
Isn't Barbie like women empowerment?
that might be it.
She's a
That might be it. It's a woman living her best life.
Isn't Barbie like she's a doctor? She's a rock star.
Sir,
She's
sir,
anything
sir.
you want Barbie to be. Am I tripping?
Everything she is the antithesis to what they expect their women to be.
The version of their Barbie is pregnant, barefoot, and kitchen.
Their version of Barbie is your trad wife. I'm staying at home. I don't want to do anything but be a homemaker and do everything
Cooking sourdough
do everything
bread.
that my husband asked me to on a whim. Basically, that's their version of a good wife.
Yeah. They want to smell meatloaf when they go into the house. Honey, is that meatloaf you're cooking there?
I just had a good meatloaf this past week. It was amazing. But yes, I definitely see what you mean because, yeah, to a certain extent, I can understand. I can sympathize with that to a certain extent that, yes, after a long day of work, it would be great to come home to, a loving, old school, nuclear, traditional family where the wife has everything ready for you and happy to see you and the kids are da-da-da. That ain't happening. Life is too
No,
expensive.
that
We
hardly
got
exists.
so many other things going on that to have that traditional lifestyle, that's great if you can make it happen. But outside of that, not many people are living that life.
This brings me to my first point, bro. Right-wing grifters and influencers do not understand comics even when the answer is blatantly in front of them. You just said it not so long ago, how Kal-El, also known as Superman or Clark Kent, he is an undocumented immigrant. And he didn't even go to Earth by choice. It wasn't his choice to go to Earth. His home planet, Krypton, was literally being destroyed. And the only traces of his family that he has left is what?
His cousin Kara Zor-El, who is in this interpretation. I love this interpretation of Supergirl that they're about to give us because she's the one that doesn't have the emotional tools to deal with the fact of what happened on Krypton. So she's not this buttoned up, super innocent. Oh my gosh, this is the real Kara Zor-El, and I like this depiction.
Hollywood Reporter. James Gunn put out a statement not so long ago saying, "We've had a lot of super in Superman over the years, and I'm happy to have made a movie that focuses on the man part of the equation. A kind person, always looking out for those in need. That resonates so powerfully with so many people across the world is in itself a hopeful testament to the kindness and quality of human beings. Thank you." Where in the hell is this super woke? Help me understand
I
that.
will admit, without giving too many spoilers, there's going to
Okay.
be a conflict in the movie between two different countries. And a lot of people have likened it to whether it is Russia or Ukraine, or is it the Israel Palestine type thing. I think it's more of a reference to the Russia Ukraine situation. But outside of that, I can see how people view that as political because obviously it's a political by nature within the movie. But I, I then for those that would push back against us saying that they don't want their comic book super woke, I feel like those people have never really read comics. I feel like these people have never truly experienced these stories that are being told on the big screen now that for them to have these strong feelings of, oh, this doesn't need to be political, these points that they're trying to make are terrible, it just goes to show that you don't read the comics and you're just looking to grift off of the fact that you know that the right has a base that is easily, very easily thrown into a fuss, thrown into a tizzy, as some may say. And due to that, they know they can make extra money off of this. Like, hey, help me stop them from trying to woke your kids up and trying to make them drag queens and king and all that stuff. Like they know good and well.
The woke mind
Exactly. They
virus.
know exactly what it takes to trigger these people to have them so upset that they are going to put money into whatever they back and it doesn't matter. It's going to be without questioning. It's not going to we just know it's going to work. We just know it's going to work.
After this whole spiel about super woke Superman, it got to the point where even the Trump administration, they had to chime in and give their 2 cents of it, where they posted a picture on Instagram depicting Donald Trump as Superman. So it was the Superman poster, but the head was Donald Trump saying truth, justice, and the American way. Not only that, people on Fox News, they were also talking about how they didn't like the fact that Superman doesn't say truth, justice, and the American way. Nowadays, he's saying truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. And they're saying it's un-American. Superman represents America, when that's actually not the case. And I would like to make this point, is that Superman has always been woke. His stories have always been political.
Thank you.
Superman was raised in America. He was raised in Kansas, but he is a citizen of the world. This man answers any call for help, and it doesn't matter where or when. He will do what he is called to do. That is his true calling. His calling is not just rescuing American citizens. Mm-hmm. That also includes immigrants, refugees, people around the world who are, under oppressive regimes. He will go out there. If you call for help, he will go out and respond. He will even help save your cat that's, in a tree. He will do the little things, from doing that to making sure someone doesn't jump off a bridge. Mm-hmm. But I know someone who would allow that to happen. Homelander. Because that's the kind of person that's the Superman that you really want. You don't want Clark Kent Superman. You want Homelander from The Boys.
They definitely want that.
That's your Superman. The one that wants to wear an American flag as a cape. You want that. You want the kind of guy who lasers civilians because they disagree.
They want
with
Captain America that says the N-word.
We both know he's not going to do that. Steve Rogers or Sam Wilson. Because Captain America can't say
they want Captain America. They want Captain America with
but it has to be Sam Wilson.
They want Captain America with the hard ER.
Steve Rogers. Yeah, absolutely. You want Steve Rogers to say the
They
N-word.
really do.
We both know that's not going to happen.
Well, it depends.
It
depends. When Steve was working for Hydros, he might have let it slip a few times, but
at what point there's a point in the comics where Steve Rogers, Captain America, he did say Hell Hydra, which is pretty much saying he's a Nazi at that point. But that's a story for another day. I encourage you to go find like Comicstorian or Comics Explained on YouTube
comics,
if you want to dive into the world of if you want to dive into the world of comic books and their stories. It is so fun. It's so you are literally, just diving into another
Mhm.
world where you get to enjoy a good written story.
And if you
So
have an Amazon Prime membership, go ahead and sign up for Comixology. It makes reading comics, the old classics and all that so much easier. I use it on my for my Amazon Kindle app to read some of my favorite comics all the time. I start a new comic book every week, try to get through at least 2 to 3 within that week. And it is such a great tool for those that just don't want to go out and find traditional comics. I have that huge comic book stack sitting over there. I've been trying to add more to it, but it's expensive. So yes, it is a great way. This is not an ad by any means, but yes, Amazon's Comixology is a great way to read comics if you just want to go with the subscription service that you're already familiar with.
and we're only suggesting this because we believe you're curious and in good faith want to know more about superheroes and comic books, even if you've never taken the time to dive into these
Because there's so
stories.
many amazing. This upcoming year is a great. Oh,
Oh yeah,
Fantastic Four comes out this next week. I am so excited.
and you don't have to be a Marvel or a DC fan. You can go into the independent route of comic books like The Boys, which is a satire critique of superheroes and
Yep.
today's politics and whatnot. But going back to my main point about Superman always being woke, did we forget that John Kent, son of Superman, is bisexual?
Oh, they hated that. Oh, they hated that when that was revealed. They hated that.
Did we forget that Clark Kent, if he gets a pink kryptonite, he turns gay?
These are whole
Did we
stories.
forget
These
that?
are whole stories.
These are real stories. Did we forget that Superman put the beat down on the KKK?
Mhm. They don't want to go back and read those old
Superman
stories.
has always been
Those
woke.
golden, yeah, people got to remember those golden age of comic books. A lot of those, whether it was DC or Marvel, were commenting on social events. They were, if you think Law and Order, if you're a Law and Order fan, and you know Law and Order does these things where if a recent event happens, they make a new episode kind of referencing to it. That's what comic books were doing back then. They were commenting, especially the Jack Kirby, Stan Lee's, the Godfathers of comics. They were advocates of ensuring that minorities are well represented, but also speaking against social issues. So this whole idea of why are you putting politics in our comics is so far fetched from the simple fact that it's always been there.
I'll do you one even better. Instead of saying, why are you putting politics in our comics or in our superhero stories? Why are you trying to put far right wing ideologies in my comics, in my superhero
I will go.
stories? Why are you trying to put
I will go
yeah,
even
why
further.
are you trying to put that blue line on the Punisher logo? Every time I see that blue line on the
I
Punisher
hate
logo,
that
that just tells me that you don't know better.
because he would not
You don't
stand
know
for
any
any of
better.
that. I would go even further. Why do your ideologies and politics not align with the traditional American values that are depicted in these comics? Like, why are you mad that our superheroes aren't acting more like Nazis? Does that say more about you or does that say more about the superhero? Like, come on now. Like the fact that we know MAGA and them when it comes to explaining things, it's projection, projection, projection. And it's becoming more and more of that with each of these things. It's like y'all are so far from what these heroes embody. The fact that they don't reflect your current views should be more of a referendum on your views, not something that makes you think that these heroes are inherently bad because they no longer align with what you believe to be right.
One thing about superhero stories is that they always evolve. I'm going to share the screen one more time. Here's an article from the Smithsonian Magazine, how Superman's motto, truth, justice, and the American way, evolved over time. At first, Superman's radio serial extolled his devotion simply to truth and justice. But in 1942, 2 years after its premiere with World War II raging, and the serial added the American way to its opening narration, thereby toting the Man of Steel's patriotic commitment to the values of his homeland. So I hope people who are so upset about him getting rid of the American way to a better tomorrow, you understand the context of like why he was saying that. Let's put on our thinking caps. Amid the Cold War and the Red Scare, the opening narration for the 1950s television show starring George Reeves grandly announced Superman who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But over the years in different media, the motto appeared in various forms. The 1966 New Adventures of Superman animated series swapped out the reference to America for truth, justice, and freedom. And then fast forward to the 1970s in the Super Friends, the cartoon, it adopted the catchphrase truth, justice, and peace for all mankind. A wholesome message for young Saturday morning viewers. It wasn't always the American way. I'm going to fast forward in this article just a little bit more. Here we go. Too much controversy. Superman renounces his American citizenship in Action Comics 2011 landmark 900th issue. Quote, I'm tired of having my actions construed as instruments of U.S. policy, he says. Truth, justice, and the American way, it's not enough anymore. Responding to backlash, DC Comics co-publishers issued a statement. Superman announces his intention to put a global focus on his never-ending battle, but he remains, as always, committed to his adopted home and his roots as a Kansas farm boy from Smallville.
It's like they don't understand. You can be an American and a good person at the same time.
That's why folks are upset about Superman being super woke, apparently, is because they're not a good person. They don't see how it feels to be a genuine human being towards another person, having empathy or sympathy towards another person. I like to tell people there's a difference between acceptance and tolerance. And what Superman practices is acceptance towards others. It doesn't matter who you are. Superman will even save the villain sometimes. There have been plenty of occasions when he's done that because he believes a life is worth saving.
Exactly. He values life. He values people. He values what used to represent the American way back then, especially, like I said, when you go over the different eras in which he has been depicted across the decades in American history. He's grown with the identity of America, yes. But, the vitriol that they affix to Superman when it comes to this, it revealed itself when, and it goes back to my point that these people don't really read comics. When recently Sam Wilson became Captain America, like he does in the comics.
And it was a good movie. It was a really good movie. And folks tried to
and they were
on
just mad because their bastion of white hope, Captain America, for again, they don't read the comic. One of the reasons why after Endgame, I was excited to see where the MCU went, but I didn't have too much faith because I knew, well, this is a different topic. I very much have beef with the MCU and their directors. But real comic book fans have looked at the current state of comic book movies and shows and typically have been okay with it. Yes, it's not ideal. Yes, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. And then you have these right-wingers coming in that don't know anything about the source material, don't care anything about the stories they're being told. They're just grifting to be able to utilize these moments in society to keep garnering and riling up their base.
I'm glad that you brought that up because that brings me to my next point. Right-wing influencers and grifters are not real critics to the movies or television series. If you start off your video, your analyzation or your critique of a certain show or movie, specifically when it is predominantly Black or people of color in the production, and you bring up any terms of like DEI or anything of that nature, it's not a critique. You're just trying to dunk on it, and it's one dimensional. Because we recently saw that with how grifters tried to dunk on Ironheart. Folks were review bombing it on Rotten Tomatoes before the show could even get a full chance. Ironheart is a good show,
and it's going to lead.
And
And
folks
it's going to
were
lead to great things in the MCU.
Riri Williams is not Tony Stark, but the fact that she idolizes him and says, "Hey, I'm even smarter than this dude," and the only reason why he is successful in being Iron Man is because he's a billionaire, and if she had the same resources, then she would do much more, if not better. That's what she claims. I'm all for it, and there's nothing wrong
At
with it.
all.
And and Tony Stark is a mentor to her in the comics, but folks want to dunk on it. They want to shit on it. They want to say that the show was trash. They want to say it's DEI. You know, their dog whistles and coded language. I hear it's not even a dog whistle at this point. It's a dog siren. They're loud with it. They're very disrespectful with it as well. Oh, what is her Jarvis going to be called? Jarquisha?
Like, they are just blatant and outward with it. And that is the worst part, in my opinion. Because it's like, bruh, y'all just go complete mask off in a lot of these situations. And it's uncalled for. It really is. I feel especially the Riri Williams is indicative of one of the issues that I've had with discourse around Black women, where I posted a picture recently because shout out to her. Angel Reese is now the cover athlete for NBA 2K26 for the WNBA side of it. And when I said that, oh, I reposted it, I was like, icon. People are like, she's not an icon. Da, 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 da. And it's like,
She is
people
definitely an
don't, for
icon.
one, people don't have a dictionary. They don't even understand what the word an icon is. Because within society, for the demographic that she appeals to, she is certainly iconic.
Let's drop one of Clues bombs for Angel Reese one time. For
Exactly. And the fact that she can be in a category of her own, like she is the one of the fastest to 500 points, 500 rebounds. She currently, off of just defensive rebounds alone, is outpacing the next closest person to her when it comes to getting rebounds. She was a top 5 recruit coming out of high school. She has a ring in high school and in college. She has a ring in the Unlimited League as well. She's probably, I would say, 5 years out from her team really being super competitive because Chicago, I don't know what they got going on up there. That makes no sense. They need to surround her with a better guard. I say all that to say that she has her own signature shoe. She has been leading in statistical categories that others have not. She has won multiple. She has won rings in high school and college. She has been a winner at every single point. We can't say that about someone else. Just saying. But yeah, she has so many accomplishments that we have to that they find so many ways to try to deny her greatness. Like, she is an icon. You know why? Because she appeals to her specific demographic and she is iconic throughout that. Guess what? Because a lot of people that don't view her as an icon don't view a lot of Black women as substantial or having as much of a impact as they truly do. They probably don't view her as an icon because guess what? You already don't view women of her demographic, Black women, as much as bringing much value as is. So of course you're not going to be able to appreciate the value that Angel Reese has, who is the most followed woman in WNBA compared between her and Caitlin Clark. You would think Caitlin Clark, who is the face of the WNBA, would have more followers. No, she's at like 3.1, 3.5 something. Angel's at 5.2. What you gonna do? What you gotta say about that? How's she not an icon, but she's more recognizable than the most recognizable face in the game?
I'll go ahead and say it right off the bat. I'm not as sports savvy, but shoot, Caitlin Clark is not the face of the WNBA.
It depends. It depends on who you're asking, because you know they love they. I'm not saying anything about Caitlin, because Caitlin, as much I have disagreements when it comes to her game, there are aspects of it I don't like, and I try to keep it solely about the game. She does do well as far as deflecting her fans that want her to be what they want her to be. I will admit she does not give them she does not give them ammunition to be able to push the agendas they're trying to do. Maybe her boyfriend does. That's a different topic, but yeah.
I want to
Shout out Paige Beckers. That's the only one we acknowledge.
Yeah, shout out PB5. Okay, Dallas Wings. Just I need y'all to fire that coach.
Oh my
and then we
goodness,
can
it's
move
just
forward.
random. Did you
But
see that interview where Paige had to be the adult?
I did, bro. I did.
I know. I was sitting there. I was like, Tristan's probably screaming at his phone or TV, like, "Fire that man today!" I want you to know, Tristan. Y'all to know, Tristan has not liked that coach for quite some time.
I do not like that
goodness.
coach.
Every time we talk about it,
The power of friendship is gonna make us win another game. The
bro,
power of
friendship ain't getting no rebounds, bro.
Power of friendship is not doing enough.
Oh,
right now.
bro, we are struggling. You got Paige and them out there hurting.
Next year for the Wings. Next year, I want to bring this back to talking about how people like to try and trash on these superhero stories and whatnot. A real critic analyzes how engaging the storytelling is. A real critic will ask you how believable are the characters. A real critic will ask you how are the costume designs? Is it well directed? How are the angles shot? What about the sound, the music, the sound effects?
Exactly.
These are components that make a good movie, not trashing a movie or a TV show because it features a black girl on it. Get it together. That's not real critique. That's grifting. I need people to understand the difference between critiquing and grifting. And it's quite blatantly obvious when you watch one of these videos.
Is it that obvious?
You can tell when someone's trying to grift and when someone has a genuine critique.
Is
of
it
a
that
movie.
obvious though? Because you could say, since we already brought up Angel Reese, that someone in the realm of an RG3 who has direct connections to certain, what are they called? Stations and channels and all that. He's been affiliated as an analyst and things of that nature. Would you consider him a grifter at that point?
Low key, because he's not a journalist. He didn't go through he didn't go through journalism school. He played the sport, which is, how do I say it? That shows a level of expertise of him being in that said field, which I do appreciate. But he's not garnering the stories. He's not storytelling. He's not seeking truth. He's gossiping. He's not a sports journalist. He's a sports correspondent. He's a sports entertainer. Big difference. Because a real sports journalist will probably uncover the truth and I'm just throwing something out in the air, will probably investigate referees who are, padding players so that way someone can make their parlay or something. That's sports journalism. That's or they take the time to follow LeBron James for the next 30 days prior to his possible soon to be retirement announcement or something like that. That's journalism. That's storytelling. But to go off the cuff and talk out the side of your neck, talking about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, she hates Caitlin Clark so much. You can tell.
Not even just
passion.
that. Not even just that. The fact that he states someone in her circle reached out to him, not Stephen A. Smith, not Shannon Sharp, who has the hottest podcast right now, not Ryan Clark, not any of the legacy media members. They decided to reach out to Robert Griffin III, someone in her personal circle who she has described as mainly being family and like two childhood friends. So you mean to tell me that her brother or her sister or her mother or two of her childhood friends or whatever decided, you know what? I'm going to get on the phone and call RG3 and say, you know what? She actually does hate her. She does. She just doesn't like her at all. Like, come on, bro. Like, let's be honest. Yes, you are a Heisman winner. Yes, you are. You were great at Baylor. We went, our alma mater got blown out by Baylor while he was there. And I understand how good you are, how great you are. Your skills as a football player is a testament to how much hard work you put in. It does not give you the credence to do what you're doing right now. And it's ridiculous that there are people out there that don't see what he is doing.
I'm not even going to call him RG3 anymore. He's Bob Griffin III.
Nah, don't even give him a nickname. His name is Robert.
Rob.
Hello, Robert.
He's Robert Griffin III. Okay.
Robert Griffin III. He really I hate the self-hating types. Like, black is beautiful, and black is also worth being protected, especially against those that are within our own race. The fact that you as a black man, and I feel like based upon how he's representing himself in the media, he should come from a background that's fully aware of how it means to depict ourselves in the media. And the fact that you're outwardly expressing these views about a young black woman, highly successful, by the way, just goes to show so much more about yourself than it does. Because how much you want to bet, since we were talking about the right-wing grifter pipeline, how much you want to bet he finna end up on a Fox News or a Pierce Morgan special on the conservative side? How much you want to bet? He's going to end up on either Fox News, going on Pierce Morgan, going on rants about how we don't need to make everything racial and stuff like that. He's going to end up on that right-wing side soon. I see it.
Man, you know who his co-host is going to be? Jason Whitlock, real soon.
Oh,
I'm saying this from the outside looking in. He's on a path to being a co-host with Jason Whitlock or Sage Steele. He's on that path.
It's the right wing. It's the athlete / I need money pipeline to go to the right wing side. Anytime I see any of their influencers, I automatically assume that you are that you're hurting for money or something. But a lot of the times the right wing grift, it's for the money. Like I definitely feel that to a certain extent when people are in need of money, especially those in the influencer realm, they go influencer, content creator, athlete, former athlete, doesn't matter. If you're within the media space, I feel that once you start leaning over to the right wing out of nowhere, it's because you want money. It's because you realize that they have a base that you can rile up real easily, and they will shell out. They will pull their wallets
It's
out,
low-key
and
selling
they will
yourself.
support with their dollars. And I can see why,
This is my problem
Yeah,
with Robert
it's all it
Griffin
is.
III. He has this one-sided beef with Angel Reese, and not so long ago, he posted a picture of Angel Reese in the 2K front cover, but it was her like photoshopped as a monkey. He recently posted on Twitter, quote, "All right, this has got to stop. There is no place for racism in this world. Whether you like a player or not, Angel Reese should never be called or depicted as a monkey." And he proceeded to post a picture of what was supposed to be Angel Reese on the 2K cover, but it was her photoshopped as a monkey. Now, I can't find that picture anywhere on the internet. So this dude must have went through the deepest crevices of his comic section or throughout somewhere on the internet to find that picture. Now, everything was all fine and dandy. He didn't have to post a picture, but he saved that picture on his phone and he posted it, letting millions of people know what it looks like. He didn't have to give that picture a platform.
Just to give more credence to it, that picture at the time in which a lot of other influencers had found it had around 2,000 views, or right around there. Within 2 hours of RG3 posting it, it was well over 100,000. The interactions were growing by the minute. Like, you gave life to this when it didn't have to. It would have just been something else that fell off into the Twitterverse. Because I'm pretty sure we went and looked for it. We could find some very depraved stuff out there. But you have to go look for it. And that just goes to speak to what you were saying.
And now you're basically giving a reason to send Reese that meme or to post it even more now, which is totally unnecessary. Now that's one problem I have. The second problem is that he tried to hide this under the guise of this has to stop, the racism has to stop, but he used this as an opportunity to try and bash her on the low, saying, quote, in the same tweet, "I have been quiet on the Angel Reese front because she shared a video that aided my wife, kids, family, and friends receiving death threats. Threats of physical harm to my family and friends, and threats of sexual violence to my children on social media and beyond. That will never be okay with me. I never attacked her on her family when I stated and backed up with clear basketball evidence that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. It's sports. Everybody won't like each other. People in Angel's inner circle called me and told me I was right, and Angel Reese has grown to hate Caitlin Clark because of the media always asking about Caitlin and being constantly compared to her. Continuing, quote, anyone's story, I decided to just not. All that being said, Angel Reese or any black man or woman should never be called or depicted as a monkey, ever. Stop it. If you hate Angel Reese because she is black, you are the problem. If you hate Angel Reese because you are a Caitlin Clark fan, don't turn it racial. There should be no space for racism in this world. You were right there. You were so close. Robert Griffin III, you were so close. You didn't have to bring up any of that stuff in the middle. It's like this. What you said in the beginning was just fine. No one should be depicted as a monkey. And what you said in the end was just fine. There should be no space for racism in this world. End it right there. You know it's a problem when Dr. King's daughter, Bernice King, tells you to shut up. Here's the tweet. Robert Griffin III, we need more people ready to build bridges between us and not walls to divide us. The only way to find unity is talking through our differences in opinion and life experiences to find the best way forward. Quoted by Bernice King, I agree. That's why I suggest you call Angel Reese and stop posting about her. I think you've gone too far. I think you're way into the deep end at this point. You need to just go ahead and just log off for a few days.
And the fact that we spoke on it offline, but he seems to have an obsession to it a certain extent with Angel Reese, but also getting into the space to be able to debate and have conversations about race. One of the main people that go against him is Ryan Clark. He is outwardly against him at every single point when it comes to this, especially since they've had a history with working with each other. And the fact that but a lot of people think he's just going in on him, and I don't believe so. I think he's doing exactly what we spoke about in the first episode. Black men holding other black men accountable. And I feel that the way that Ryan Clark is going about it, as much as Shaq, I have very much disagreements with how Shaq presents his knowledge of the game and how he actually talks about the game. But I do agree somewhat with the way that he went about it. He was like, hey, next time, Robert, next time I see you, I may slap basically, because, he has connections to Angel Reese. Granted, I do think that is necessary. I do think having that type of that type of visceral reaction in the media spaces definitely does help. So I'm thankful that there are people coming out there. We probably talk about it a different day. I agree with some other influencers as well that are making a good point that how many women in the WNBA have you heard come speak up on Angel Reese's behalf?
I do hear the argument, but it's nice seeing that Shaq speak up, Mark Henry speak up about it, black men speaking up.
Bro, I don't, by no means is this, I hope there are no men out there that are going to try to put that as he's trying to say black women don't stick together. I'm like, no, this is me addressing a WNBA problem. I've always said that the WNBA would do better if the women had a little bit more unity within it. Yeah. This is not to say that women as a whole are not unified. I'm just saying this is from the outside looking in. The WNBA is tough because of so many competing factors. Yeah, so many competing factors when it comes to the WNBA in its current state. But yeah, just wanted to clear that up.
Now, I'm trying not to call you RG3, man. Robert, it's very disappointing because you did not have to put all of what you said in the middle. Lines such as, I've been quiet on Angel Reese front because she shared a video that aided in my wife, kids, family, and friends receiving death threats. Like, that could have been a separate tweet. That could have... Because he tried to,
I don't understand the correlation.
To sneak that in.
I don't understand the correlation.
That's him expressing how he really feels about Angel Reese. Just go ahead and say, I don't like you. I don't like Angel Reese. Just go ahead and say that.
Thank you.
But to hide it under, we need to There should be no
And
space for hate. That was the guys. That was the scapegoat. You tried to soften the blow, but what you really wanted to say was all that in the middle. And now you got Shaq telling you I'm gonna punch you in your face. You got Mark Henry saying you're a disappointment, and you got Bernice King telling you to stop talking about her. You have a legendary civil rights icon's daughter telling you be quiet.
But he doesn't care. But he doesn't care because at the end of the day, he still has a base he has an audience that, as much as you can get on Twitter and be like, see how many people are disagreeing with you, he still has an audience that agrees. He still has an audience that's paying his bills. And like I said, that influencer to right-wing grifter pipeline you're about to see with him. Like, next thing you know, he's going to start talking about pushing certain cryptocurrencies, and then that's going to turn into him pushing his own content creation type thing. The next thing you know, he's going to start appearing on right-wing sites, and filming with right-wing podcasters. I'm telling you, it's slowly going to turn into that because they all end up doing it. It's a grift. It's the end of the day, they understand that where the money is at. If you are willing to sacrifice your morals, you can easily make a bunch of money being a right winger. And I think that's where this is leading to. And he knows it's polarizing because he can't speak on subjects outside of sports. So he has to tie social issues into sports so that way he can keep agitating that base. He knows that he can't really speak on majority of the racial issues that are going out there, but he is smart enough to understand that there is a racial aspect to the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese conversation that he can get off whatever he got to get off through that conversation. He's fully aware of that, and he knows that it's going to drive people crazy. He knows Caitlin Clark has a fan base that will go crazy over any Angel Reese negative portrayal. He knows that that same base is also connected to any type of racial conversation that basically paints black people as, you really don't have it that bad. They love any black man that's willing to perpetuate that, or a black person willing to perpetuate that. And he sees that and he's buying into it because it's going to keep money in his pockets.
But he's playing dumb on purpose.
These people aren't dumb. They know exactly what they're doing, especially the Dave Rubins, the Charlie Kirks, all those that do that. Well, I hated it. And one of my college professors, he did not like me from the beginning, but my papers would be so good that he has to give me good grades. He got agitated because our first meeting in class, he had showed a video of Jordan Peterson and I had rolled my eyes. He was like, do you have an issue with Jordan Peterson? I'm like, I don't. I believe he makes fallacious arguments and I think he's a bad faith actor. And then he goes into a video of him being a bad faith actor. And I'm just like,
Robert Griffin III, on the heels of the Superman movie coming out, I too now will banish you to the Phantom Zone for 30 years. Come back when you get some sense. Is he a brother or is he a cornball brother? Aged like fine wine. Catch the people up to speed about Rob Parker and this cornball brother question. Because this happened years ago. This is what is crazy. A lot of people associate that him making those comments on, I think it was First Take back then regarding RG3, and he basically went on, and he was on ESPN at the time because he was a contributor as well, and he basically asked, "Is he a brother?" Or is he one of them cornball brothers? Yeah, brother. And, we in the community, we understand what that means. Back then, the political climate was a little bit different. And from there, you stopped seeing him on certain segments that he was kind of a regular. I won't say a regular, but he was frequenting more. And next thing you know, now he's basically turning into an old school legacy radio personality. But he made a great point. He works for Fox Sports right now. He still has a radio spot that I used to love him and Chris Bouchard's radio show, but now Chris Bouchard, he's on First Things First, so he does a lot more of the mainstream stuff. But
I love their conversations. I've always loved a lot of our legacy black men that are in media, especially on the sports side of it, from it being Chris Broussard, Bomani Jones, R.I.P. Stu Scott, all of them. I loved every single one of our legacy ones. Even Michael Wilbon, even though he and I don't agree on everything. I love all of them except for Stephen A. Smith. That guy can go. Nope, can't say that. That's a different story. That's a different story.
Take a swig.
But yeah. Robert Griffin, I think he wanted to be in that upper echelon and reviewed and regarded as such. I think he saw, especially Shannon Sharp and other black men in the media carving out their own space, whether it be with the podcast, whether it be on national television or within their own spaces. I think he wants to do that. I don't believe that he has for one, he honestly would have been fared better just being what Ashton Hall tried to be as a content creator. He would have been better off doing that because he does not have, of course, he graduated from Baylor. He's intelligent. I don't believe he has the subject matter expertise to really be a power player in the fields in which he resides in right now.
For him to even say that he has evidence, clear evidence that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark, and then people in Angel's inner circle called me and told me I was right, and Angel Reese has grown to hate Caitlin Clark. Then now you done brought Caitlin Clark into this whole situation. Now she's gonna be like Nene Leakes. So how did I get roped into this?
I promise you, Caitlin don't care about this stuff. Honestly, like think about it. Ashton Hall just did all this stuff with iShow Speed and all that. Just think if he was actually a world-class athlete like a RG, like a Robert Griffin. Like, it would have made more sense. He could have actually been going on all these, like, media tours that Hall was doing and actually made it like a pro versus. He honestly would have been perfect as the next host / participant in a pro versus Joe type show.
Now it's ruined.
He would have been perfect for that. Like,
he has a look.
He's got the media personality to be a host for it, and that could be like, you know what? He actually stays in shape. So he would have been perfect for that. But you were on the channel that could have helped facilitate that, because ever since Sports Science left, they've been looking for an avenue to create something that ties people closer to the actual science and the act of sports. But that's a subject for a different day. I've had an issue with the ESPNification of sports for quite some time. You want to pick a fight with a woman instead of going to war with all these men that got something to say against you. Because when Ryan Clark was on your head, it wasn't as vitriolic as how this is, because Ryan Clark was giving that man the business. Trying to beef with a 23-year-old. Robert, how old are you? Yeah, he's 35 years old. You too old to be beefing with a 23-year-old. This shorty is just now starting her career. Get it together. Come back when you get some sense. He gonna come back when the sense dries up. Not sense like common sense, but the sense like the money that he's gonna get from being on the right wing side. Because that's one thing they don't ever take into account, especially being a minority.
Oh my gosh,
they eat up their minority influencers and spit them out once they're done with it.
Maybe sometime in the Phantom Zone will do you some good. Speaking of the Phantom Zone, I want to end our conversation saying this: comics, superhero films, and shows will always be a reflection of the times. Heroes are made to evolve. They are not made to be made great again. Bars. That was straight bars right there.
Pure bars.
That was bars. That concludes episode 4 of the Porch Light Theory. I'm glad you were able to join us on this conversation. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe, because when you do that, people like you find this podcast. Yeah, send us an email, porchlighttheory@gmail.com. What's going on in your world? I mean, just talk to us. I want to know what's going on. You might want our reaction about something that you're experiencing. Is there something that you want us to talk about? Again, send us that email, porchlighttheory@gmail.com. Once more, rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you so much. for taking the time out to listen to episode 4. This is the Porchlight Theory. Episode 5 is on the way. Peace.
And Boots on the Ground is still played out.